The night sky was bathed in an eerie crimson glow, as if the heavens themselves had been painted with blood. The moon hung heavy above the earth, larger than ever, its surface burning red like a warning fire in the darkness. People stopped in their tracks, their eyes drawn upward, whispers of ancient prophecies stirring in their minds. For centuries, civilizations across the globe have looked to the moon as a sign from above. The blood moon has always been a symbol of change, of chaos, of the end of an age. From the deserts of the Middle East to the mountains of South America, stories have been passed down, warning of the day when the moon would turn to blood. On this night, those old stories no longer felt like myths. Something was different. This was not just an eclipse, it was longer, darker, and stranger than any before. The air felt heavier, as though the earth itself was holding its breath. Religious leaders took to pulpits and broadcasts, declaring that the blood moon was the final sign before the Great Judgment. Some warned people to repent, others to prepare for what was coming, but no one could agree on what would come next. And then came the whispers of strange occurrences. Off the coast of Japan, fishermen reported that the ocean glowed faintly red, as if reflecting not just the moonlight, but something from beneath the waves. In the deserts of the Middle East, a shepherd swore the stars above shifted positions that night, forming shapes never seen before. In a quiet town in South America, a church bell rang at midnight with no one there to ring it. Governments dismissed these as coincidences or hoaxes, but the people weren't convinced. There was a sense that this night was connected to something far bigger, something that stretched beyond science, beyond history, and into the realm of the eternal. The blood moon had vanished from the sky, but the world could not shake its memory. Even in the light of day, people felt uneasy, as if a shadow still hung above them. Supermarkets saw sudden runs on supplies, gas stations reported unusual lines. It was as though a silent alarm had been triggered inside the minds of millions. The media tried to calm the public. Morning talk shows brought in astronomers who smiled politely as they repeated their explanations. They spoke of rare lunar eclipses, atmospheric dust, and scientific wonder. But their rehearsed words felt hollow, because deep down, people knew something science couldn't explain had happened. Then came the first sign. 3 days after the blood moon, a strange rumble shook the earth. It wasn't an earthquake, at least not the kind people were used to. The sound came first, deep and low, like something waking up beneath the ground. Then a vibration spread, rippling through cities and forests, setting off car alarms and frightening animals. 4 days after the blood moon, strange lights began appearing in the skies over South America. At first they were small, just faint glimmers moving in, well, impossible patterns. Then, one night over the jungles of Brazil, an enormous flash turned night into day for 10 full seconds. When the light faded, birds were seen falling from the sky. Meanwhile, in the Pacific, a research vessel studying deep-sea vents reported seismic activity unlike anything on record. The ocean floor was shifting, rising in some places, sinking in others. Their final radio transmission ended with a sound that none of the crew could explain, a low, echoing tone that seemed to come from the depths, as though the sea itself had spoken. Religious leaders across the world began to speak with more urgency. They quoted Revelation, Joel, Isaiah, warning that the blood moon was the sign that the time of sorrows had begun. Others cautioned against fear, calling it superstition. But fear is contagious, and fear was spreading. Then came the event that made even skeptics go silent. On the seventh night after the blood moon, the moon rose again in the sky. But it was not white. It was pale orange, and around it was a faint swirling halo of red. The news called it an optical illusion, but for those who saw it, it felt like the moon was bleeding once more. In a remote village in Iceland, the ground split open, releasing steam so hot it burned the air. In Egypt, a sudden sandstorm uncovered ancient ruins no one had seen for thousands of years. Walls covered in carvings of a massive red moon and figures bowing before it. And in Washington, D.C., a power outage plunged the capital into darkness for exactly 1 hour, during which dozens of people claimed to see shadowy figures moving in the streets. The dreams continued. More and more people reported waking at 3:33 in the morning. They spoke of the same images: fire, falling stars, oceans swallowing cities, and a voice whispering, "Prepare." Some tried to shrug it off, but when people from different continents, speaking different languages, all described the same dream, it became harder to ignore. The second week brought a wave of disasters. Massive storms tore through the Philippines. Unseasonal snow fell in the deserts of Saudi Arabia. Volcanoes in South America erupted without warning, and each time witnesses swore that for a brief moment before the disaster, the moon appeared red in the sky, even during the day. Some said the blood moon had marked the beginning of a cosmic alignment that would open a portal between worlds. Others believed it was the biblical last trumpet, the sign before angels descended and the earth was judged. But the most chilling theory of all claimed that something had entered during the blood moon, and it was still here. That theory gained momentum after an event in northern Canada. A group of hunters deep in the forest reported seeing a tall, shadow-like figure moving through the trees. It had no clear face, only glowing red eyes. When they tried to follow, the figure vanished. But moments later they heard the sound again, a deep, endless hum that seemed to come from inside their own heads. The news barely reported it, but the story spread online like wildfire. People began sharing their own encounters, sightings of figures in red-lit places, dreams of standing before a burning horizon, the same whisper in their ears. Soon, on the 28th day after the blood moon, the world witnessed something impossible. Satellite images revealed a sudden, massive disturbance in the Pacific Ocean. A swirl, hundreds of miles wide, appeared overnight, churning the water into a spiral so perfect it looked drawn. No storm clouds, no wind patterns, just the spiral. Within hours, coastal towns from Hawaii to California reported the same thing, a strange red glow beneath the waves. It didn't shimmer like light reflecting off water, it pulsed, like a heartbeat. And then came the sound again. This time it was loud enough to be picked up on seismographs. The hum spread across the planet, recorded in every time zone, shaking windows and setting off animals in panic. The world listened in horror, knowing they had no way to stop it. Governments finally began speaking to the public, not about the cause, they claimed they didn't know, but about possible necessary safety measures in case the phenomena continued. Beneath their calm words, people could hear the truth. They were preparing for something they could not control. That night the moon rose once more, and for the first time since the blood moon, it was red again. Not faint, not hazy, a deep dark crimson that swallowed the sky, and this time, it stayed that way. Across the world, power grids failed. Phones went silent. The internet flickered in and out, showing only fragments of breaking news before going dark again. In the streets, people stood together, staring upward in total silence, watching as the red moon pulsed, in rhythm with the glow in the ocean. Some fell to their knees, praying aloud. Others wept quietly. Some simply stared, their faces